Okay, Dave, thanks very much for having a weekly chat with us and catching up with what's been happening for yourself. But first of all, I think you've announced some good news. I'm going to start with some real good news that you've got for your supporters and for your football club in the terms of being able to sign up Michael Nottingham. How pleased are you about that?
Yeah, well, it's because of the unprecedented circumstances, it threw up a problem, a conundrum. Stephen Walker was fine because he ran to the end of June, but Michael's didn't and Tumour's didn't, and we're still trying to get crack on with Tumour. That's I don't see there being a problem, but obviously Michael, that's all been signed and agreed, so he'll be with us for the last 9 games.
Ironically, I've read his article. He did a bit of an article with the local paper up at Blackpool, and it was interesting. His comments, wasn't he? What he said about what's happening. He's come to Crewe. He feels as though he's a real part of the football club, and you must be delighted that being able to fit in like that as the manager.
Yeah, I got told about. I haven't read it. I've been told about it this morning. He's done an encouraging piece in the local Blackpool press. But like I said, I've spoken to Michael a couple of times to check on him and make sure he's all right. And I think he's appreciative of the fact that we do care for our players. He's no different from the rest. But when you first come to this football club, you sometimes, I would say it's sometimes a shock to be cared for. But it's not the case at all of the clubs. And I'm not saying that's the case at Blackpool. Now, I certainly don't envisage that the case going forward because they've got a fantastic man in charge in Critch. So, and I don't know if that's the case. Obviously, in his career, that might not have always been the case. And when we look after players, our actions speak louder than any words that we can speak. Because we do try and look after our players the best we can.
Just going back to Tumour there, because I put 1 or 2 little teasers out to the fans who, if they've got any questions for you to ask you. And I was going to do that at the end, but I'm going to bring it into this sort of conversation. Because there's quite a few fans that asked about Tumour, because of course he's here and he's been here a few months now, but he's on his own. Yeah. And how's he coping with it all? It's for yourself and all your rest of your squad, they're with their own families. But how is he actually coping with what's happened, in this last 6 or 7 weeks?
It's obviously extremely difficult for him. I spoke to him a few times, more than most players, really, to make sure that he's okay. The one saving grace is he's been on loan in Russia. He's been on loan in Kazakhstan, and he's been on loan in Nantwich for the previous 6 months on his own. Because his girlfriend was pregnant and they've had a little baby and what have you. So the saving grace is that he has had previous experience of it, extensive previous experience of it. It also helps that he's extremely intelligent. And it also helps that the world is a small place nowadays. So he speaks to his girlfriend, his fiancée, and he sees his little baby every day. But it's undoubtedly extremely tough for him. And we've got to try and make it as comfortable as we can for him.
I think we're 7 weeks on since you sort of we had the squad together and everything. Just an update on that. I know everything's all well at your own house. That's great news. What about your boys and your squad and your staff?
But everyone's as is. We spoke to them. I spoke to them all yesterday, and again it was just a case of how are you? We can't do any more than that. The furloughed, obviously. Making sure that they are of healthy body and healthy mind, asking them if anyone in the family, one lad, his mum thought she had coronavirus but got tested and she's fine. She's a pharmacist, so she's a key worker. But thankfully she's fine. But apart from that, it's sort of all quite on the Western Front in terms of coronavirus. We just check in with them a couple of times a week to make sure that they are coping, if you like. That's all we do, and that's all we can do at the minute. So we're trusting them to remain fit. That we can't tell them how or when or where. So they've got to be professional off their own back, and and that's their. If they need any greater, they shouldn't need any greater motivation than that. But the fact that we're top of the league should really add clarity and focus to their mindset and their work ethic. But at this moment in time, we've got no means of checking or asking, really. So we've got to trust them, and hopefully when we do get back, they'll have done the necessary.
Do you think, Dave, we're getting closer to the EFL announcing something that can be some structure that's going to be in place that can help all your football club to plan for what's coming ahead?
I think so. I'm speculating. And my opinion is as valuable or as invaluable as the next man. And it is only my opinion, but I think we are over the worst. We are, it seems, I don't know, I'm no medical advisor, I haven't got an in Downing Street, so I don't know. But it seems as though we're over the worst. It seems as though there's an appetite from the government to get football back on soon, in a safe manner. And I think the conversations, if they haven't already, will quite quickly start going to the logistical side as opposed to if. How they're going to get the testing done, who's going to do the testing, how they're going to do it without being a drain on resources, how are they going to ensure that no Crewe and Port Vale fans turn up at Vale Park if it's going to be at Vale Park. Because some idiots will. So there's all the logistical issues that are still got to be resolved. But my feeling, and it's just, again, I've got no so don't read anything into it other than it's just my opinion. But I've just got a feeling that they are going to start, if they haven't already started, to be the conversations in the next week or two.
You had not too many, but you had enough long-term injuries that you've had to deal with. Has that lockdown affected the likes of Tom Lowry, Eddie Nolan, Rio Adebisi, Lewis Riley? Can you explain anything how they've been able to progress away from the equipment that you've got at Reeseath?
Yeah, they're buzzing. They've just been given 2 weeks extra to get fit. 2 months extra. And potentially play games. Yes, it's not ideal in terms of rehab purposes, but I'm sure they'll find some ingenious way of getting weights to do squats, or it's not difficult to put a rucksack on with a tin of beans in, or a 2-litre bottle of spring water or whatever you want to put in. It's all weight at the end of the day. So there's ways and means that they've just got to be inventive and sort of crack on, if you like. And I suppose during all this, the one thing that doesn't stop is Mother Nature, and she's healing all the time. She doesn't know about coronavirus, so all them little niggles and 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 months. Well, we've had the best part of six weeks of it since we last kicked a ball, and we've probably got another 2 or 3 weeks until we kick a ball, and then another 2 or 3 weeks on top of that before we kick a ball in a match. So, the players that are injured have been given as much time as they possibly can without any games. So, if I was one of the injured lads, I'd be looking at as a real positive.
How far, you've talked about that without games, how far would they be away from being fully fit then, Dave, when they come back to? Are you going to have to take that into consideration, that they probably will never reach the peak fitness for the remaining 9 games?
The honest answer is I've no idea, because I can't check on what they're doing. I can't ask them, and there's no way of knowing. It'll just be a case of when we are allowed back, that we do the checks then, and we do the processes then. Whether we're allowed back in 1s, 2s, 6s, full squad but social distancing, I don't know. But as soon as we are allowed to reconvene and, you know, ask the players and speak to the players, then we'll be doing all we can to make sure that they are in the best shape possible, whether that be players that we expect to play the majority of the games or players returning from injury.
There's all sorts of scenarios being thrown up, isn't there? Everybody's kind of put together and pieced together how it's all going to work when you get back. There's talk of increasing the amount of substitutes that you might be able to have to 5. There's even talk of having an 18 playoff or shootout. What are your thoughts?
I think the coronavirus. I equate the coronavirus to a bit of a roller coaster, and I think we've been chugging up to the top of the summit, and the deaths have been going up and up and up and up. And I think we're over the top, and we're just starting to look over it, and it's daunting. How is life going to be the same? How is life going to be different? And whenever we're faced with change, there is an opportunity to change. Sometimes for the good, sometimes not so. Would 5 substitutes make a difference? Is that something that's come from the PFA for player welfare? Or is that someone who's been opportunistic and seen it because they've got the biggest squad and they've got the best squad? I don't know. I don't know where it's come from, but I've seen it and I go, well, if it happens, it happens. The 8-team shootout, I think, is fanciful. It wouldn't be my way of doing it. But then, if that's what we have to do, that's what we have to do. I think at this moment in time, you can't rule anything out. But I think there's better ways than that. And I think if you look after your players properly, and train them properly, I'm not sure 5 subs, as drastic a change as that, would be needed.
There's all that talk of June the 30th keeps coming up. Contracts are a problem, of course, and you probably read and saw what the Colchester chairman decided to do yesterday. He's announced very quickly certain players are going to be handed free transfers. Is it a problem for you, Dave, to talk contracts with players that you would like to offer, or have you been able to do that, or where do you stand?
In terms of contracts, we have to let people know, if you're under 23, 2 months before the end of the contract, the FIFA 60-day rule, which is obviously 2 days' time. So we've let some players know what we feel as though we've got to do. Does that come under their welfare, which is the only thing I'm allowed to speak to them about? Well, probably does. So it's as long and as short as that. For everyone else, it's a wait and see, because there's so many variables. Coronavirus just being one of them, and all the problems that will come with it. But we don't know what league we're going to be in. We don't know if we're going to have supporters next season, certainly for the first part. We don't know if we're going to sell season tickets. In the numbers that we sold them this year. And I'm hoping that the fans understand the importance of that, because it wouldn't half help. I spoke to a woman last week who bought a season ticket, and she said, "Yeah, it was never in doubt," and unequivocal, and she was brilliant. I was on the phone to her for probably well over half an hour, and stuff like that is important in times like this. But we've got to make sure, in the first instance, that we get promoted and we do the bit on the pitch.
Okay, let's just have a couple of questions, some nice, interesting questions from the supporters. First one is, in the current back four that you've got, plus you've got one or two out injured, would David Artell get in the back four if he was playing at the moment? I quite like that one. Would you in this back four that you've got at the moment?
No, because I can't run. I think Michael and I've said particularly Luke have done ever so well. Yeah, I think Perry and Harry speak for themselves. Obviously, Eddie, Wally Lancashire. We've got some good defenders, and that's why the numbers of goals conceded has gone down this year significantly.
You've just mentioned Luke Offord, and I know you don't like to be, looking at and identifying players, but there has always been an interest at the football club since I've been there of getting down the academy on a Saturday morning, and whenever they play, whether they play on Gresty Road in the afternoon or whatever, the likes of Luke Offord, Rio Adebisi, Travis Johnson, they're just a few of the younger ones that have come through this year. I'm excluding the Pickerings of this world and NGs and Lowrys and all them who've pushed on, Owen Dales and all that. Have you got any names, one or two little names that the fans can look out for the future? The younger ones that think we've got high hopes for them, or has that been a bit unfair?
I could give you names, but I'd prefer not to. Not for any sort of like competition reasons, if you like, or poaching. It's not that. I just think it's unfair on the players themselves. I could give you half a dozen names.
So you're well satisfied with what's coming, do you think? You think that
yeah,
you can
I think that for the next 3 or 4 years, we've got some real good years and some fallow years. And we've got to make sure that the good years make up for the fallow years. But that's not uncommon for us. That's not unprecedented. And we've got some excellent players that we've got to get into the first team. And like I said, Luke Offord has sort of come from nowhere, but I had him under 13. He was a good player then, so it's not. Me and Alex took him at 13, so it's not. It's not unusual for us to see him. We know he was a good player, and we know we've got some good players coming through. We've just got to make sure we keep their development going and seeing where they get to.
And the final question is probably easy to say to you. Tell us the 2 performances that you've disliked this season. They're quite easy, I would think, because you haven't had too many, but you've had a lot of good performances. There's no doubt about that. You wouldn't be top of the table and been in the top 3 for most of the season if you hadn't had a lot of performances. Which would be your standout team performance this season from you boys?
Standout team performance. I think there were some really good early home performances. I do. I think Walsall away was important for us. I thought Oldham at home was a terrific performance. We kept playing our way, the right way, under rule-bending provocation. Let's call it that, from about 5 minutes in, which is fine. It's part of the game. It's not an issue to us. I think any of them, for all different reasons, the importance of winning away early on. I think Middlesbrough, you can't underestimate Middlesbrough. I'd stop short of saying played them off the park for 75 minutes, but we deserved to be 2-0 after 75 minutes. And all the Lancashire tweaks is growing, and some of it is we've You throw a 19-year-old on and it's a bit different. But we fully deserved to win that game. And we went there and against a good team. We're superior for large parts of the game. Away from home with 8,000, 9,000 people there. And that sort of sets you up, if you like. There's still a doubt of, can you do it on a bobbler pitch when they're shelling it, as opposed to Middlesbrough on a carpet playing football, trying to beat you playing football. But then you go to Walsall, and they've got a bit of both, and you beat them. And I think when you combine them two, you go, actually, you can win away. You will win away. You're going to win at home. So there's all them factors. You know, I go back to Swindon at home. You know, we had a real tough start at home. Plymouth, Bradford, Swindon. You know, the relegated teams all come to us. So there were real important victories, you know, for sort of like markers in the sand, belief, to get us to where we are, I suppose.